This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
Well, welcome in here. Kelly Sutton was out late last night at the Grand Ole Opry on a Tuesday, and we're going to rewind to some of the highlight performances from that show in just a little bit. And I'll be doing entertainment along the way so she could sleep late. There's Charlie Mattos across the way. And that's Andy Nye back in the back, our studio director. Say hi, Andy. You got her here on 8? All right. And that's Jeff Roberts, who makes sure that this all comes together. He's in master control at the aforementioned Grand Ole Opry House. And for those of you on television, you just missed, if you've transitioned from radio to TV and our streaming platforms at circlecountry.com, and you can link to your favorite streaming platform there, or just watch at circlecountry.com. Just incredible conversation with Ronnie McDowell, who is going back to his hometown, Portland, Tennessee. It's on the other side of the interstate from where I live. He's in Sumner County. I'm in Robertson County. I-65 is kind of the county line. And he's going back to the Temple Theater, a historic theater. Charlie, you'd pulled it up earlier. It's a Friday, Saturday opportunity for you to see him. And tickets at Temple
Theater TN.
Okay.
Because there are Temple Theaters around the country. But, yeah, it looks like a beautiful place to see a show.
Very historic. Does it say what year it was built originally?
I know it closed down in the 50s.
Middle 50s, he
yeah,
said.
but I think it probably goes back to the 20s, I would think. You know?
Yeah, he said he never got to go because he was only 5.
Oh.
His older siblings, it was very much a part of their growing up, going to the movie house. Remember when they called them movie houses?
Oh, I wish I could go back in time to Nashville, downtown in the 50s and 60s when there were 3 movie theaters in the heart of downtown Nashville.
Well, we learned that Mike Curb's giving out hundreds of thousands of dollars. If you'll just ask, maybe you could purchase one of those and
would that be nice?
do the renovation.
I'll be happy to call it the Curb Theater.
The guy's got.
Thank you, Mike.
Who's got more buildings named after them, Andrew Jackson or Mike Curb?
Now, Mike paid for his. Though. That's the thing.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. That's a good point. Well, welcome to this thing we call Coffee, Country, and Cody on WSM Radio. Our guests, Jenny Tolman and Robert Earl Keen. It's been so long since I've seen Robert Earl Keen. I was sharing a story earlier with a radio audience that back in my days at KKYX in San Antonio, envisioning one day coming to Nashville, WSM and the Grand Ole Opry, the Nashville Network, I was trying to do this thing with in-studio visits and live performances from artists. And among those, and maybe the first, I was trying to think back, I think he was, Robert Earl Keen was the first to come to the studio, bring a guitar, sit down, tell stories, sing.
Oh, wow.
And we met at the George West Story Fest in George West, Texas. He and his wife, Kathleen, he was playing that event, and I was hosting. And Michael Johnson comes to mind, and songwriter Hall of Famer Aaron Barker, back when he was trying to be a singing star.
Yeah.
And he got a deal, and he moved away, left San Antonio, moved to Nashville, got him a record deal.
You followed him.
Was on Atlantic.
Oh, look who's here now.
And he said, and so was the Titanic.
Well, there's that.
This is Coffee, Country, and Cody.
And this is our longtime friend Jenny Tolman back on the show. Good morning. Great to see you.
Thank you for having me.
And husband Dave Brainerd in tow. And an addition since you were here last
We have a
to
very
your entourage.
special addition. Our son, Bear Brainerd. He is almost 17 months old, or a year and a half, however you would like me to say it.
You said that there are people who say, thank you for not telling me how many days parents get into days
well,
or months.
I used to be like that too before I had a kid, but now I get it because there are like developmental milestones with each month. So that's why everybody says these months, because you're like drilled into it with your pediatrician and all these different things. But yeah, 17 months if we want to be exact.
Having recently turned 720 months, I don't keep track anymore. So, and Bear is named after?
He's named after Bobby Bear.
I love that.
Yes.
Does Bobby Bear know this? Certainly, I would think so.
Well, you know what? We haven't had a chance to actually say it to him. We've gotten the opportunity to meet him a couple times before Bear was born, but we haven't yet. But I do know that people on his team know, so I'm assuming that he might have heard by now. But yeah, it's funny because obviously Bobby Bear's last name is spelled Bare, and I said to Dave, I was like, we can't name him Naked. So it is spelled Bear, like the animal, but I like to say that it's a combination of two things that we love. Bobby Bear, and then Jackson Hole, Wyoming is where we got married, and we have a lot of special stuff going on in Jackson Hole. And bears are very reminiscent of Jackson up there, so I was like, you know what, we can spell it like the animal, and it's just a combination inspired by two things that we love very much.
And is it a middle name or is it a first name? And what goes with Bear?
It's his first name.
Okay. Okay.
And his middle name is Harrington. So Bear Harrington. And we have an English friend who goes, Bear Harrington. And it sounds very regal. But Harrington is my dad's middle name. It's my grandmother's maiden name. So, family name.
Sounds like he'll grow up to write children's books. It sounds very author-esque.
We love Shel Silverstein too, so we're all about that.
Very literary.
Yes.
I said you can't be a loser with a name like Bear Brainerd.
Right.
You sound like a Major League Baseball player or something. No pressure though.
Well, we've got new music, which we're excited to share here in just a little bit. You mentioned Jackson Hole there a little bit ago. Are you going to do the Cowboy Festival again?
We sure are. So we've got a really special festival called Cowgirls at the Cowboy. It's an all-female country music festival that we started 2 years ago. So this will be our third inaugural year. We haven't officially announced who's playing yet, but just
do we know them?
Oh yeah. You know every single one of them. So I'm very, very excited to share that when the time comes.
Would they have played the Grand Ole Opry?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes. So most importantly,
she embargoed us off the air earlier. I can't say, but I can at least mention the festival, which happens
Secret
when.
Keepers. It's in October. So we haven't announced the dates yet, but keep your ears and eyes peeled because that will be coming soon. But it's just such a special opportunity. I mean, if you've ever been up to Jackson Hole, you know it's so insanely beautiful. The people there are incredible. The community is so welcoming, and the $1 Million Cowboy Bar is just iconic. So to get to be a part of that history in a very small way is really special.
Are you doing the Lower Broadway scene at all here in Nashville?
I'm not right now. I really tour outside of Nashville for the most part. We actually just got back from Hawaii.
I was going to ask you about it. I was getting to that.
Yeah, so last week we had 2 shows in Hawaii, which I had never been there before. Dave hadn't either. And my
where'd you
parents
play?
came too because they had never been. We played in Waikiki Beach, the first show.
Oh, I love that place.
And then the second.
And I know that sounds like a touristy thing. It would be the last place that, if you know my travel experience is what I enjoy, that'd be the last place you think that I would want to be.
Yeah.
I so loved it.
It's
and I don't
so
know if
fun.
it was a childhood thing because I had always heard of it.
Yeah.
And it was this place that I never thought I'd go. And then there I am on the beach, and the weather was just
Right.
exactly what you would expect, paradise.
It's beautiful. I mean, I kept telling Dave, I feel like I want the Adam Sandler movie moments where we go to the luau. And I don't, is it Drew Barrymore? That's it. I forget who's it.
Oh, that's 51st Dates.
I just have this movie scene in my head. I'm like, I want the Adam Sandler movie. So we played there. And second, we played in Maui. Which was
okay. We didn't make it to Maui.
Even
We've made
more
other
beautiful.
islands
Oh my gosh.
and somehow missed Maui in our travels a
So
couple of times.
my wife and I have very different ideas of what we like to do of it. She loves beaches and relaxing. I love big cities. And Honolulu is the perfect combination of both
Yes.
because it's a really big city with this gorgeous beach right there.
Have
So
you guys been?
Oh, yeah. We've
Okay,
both been. But we've been separately. We've never been together. Like, I went with Vanderbilt back in the day, and she went on a girls' trip like 15. I didn't mean like, honey, I'm going to Hawaii this week. You stay home with Jackson. I realize how that came out. But we are going to.
Charlie Mattos, did you take your wife to Hawaii? No, I took my girlfriend. She took her boyfriend. How about that? Works perfectly.
Very modern marriage. But we'll get there together at some point.
Yes, you have to.
And you mentioned your folks got to join you in Hawaii. Give us the backstory for people who don't know the Jenny Tolman story of how you got started.
Yeah.
And it was really your father. I mean, it's always been this business of show business has always been in your life.
That's right. It's a family business. I'm actually repping his shirt for anybody who can see today. The Indian River Boys. This is a vintage T-shirt. So he was actually born in Boston, Massachusetts, and ended up in Nashville after a chance meeting with Burt Reynolds and Dolly Parton. He was singing at Burt Reynolds' dinner theater, and Burt and Dolly came backstage and said, hey, we want to put you in this quartet, and you guys are going to be in a band called the Indian River Boys. They had this whole vision, and so he was like, okay. So he did that, and they lived in LA for a while, but ended up in Nashville and did some really cool stuff, sang on Garth Brooks's No Fences album. As a group, it gets difficult, and so he eventually turned to the business side when my older sister was born, and so I grew up around music and Nashville, the music industry and songwriters, and I never thought that was a unique thing. I never realized how cool it was until I actually got into the music industry and got older, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is not a normal thing. So it was very much a blessing to be able to grow up around country music and just understand the town a little bit. But it is a whole new world now. So
I find it interesting that you also married into the industry as well.
I can't get away from it, even if I tried. My husband.
And there's an age difference with the two of you. How did that love story come about?
Well, we met at the Dog House. If you've ever been to Nashville,
Well, it's usually losers is the story we hear.
Yeah, right.
A lot.
I know. I guess we're a little step up, maybe. Although he winds up at the Dog House still sometimes. But no, I was playing around there, and it's funny because I wasn't even old enough to be in the Dog House because I was 20 at the time, and he had a studio above Off-Broadway Shoes right there, and so he was down having a drink after a recording session one day and heard me singing, and there was honestly nothing romantic whatsoever. Like, he had no intentions of that. I had no intentions. He just came up to me and was like, "Hey, I love your voice. I love your songs. Like, would love to see what you've got going on." And because I think I can help in some way, because he had just gotten back from the Grammys. He was nominated for producing Brandy Clark's 12 Stories album at the Grammys. And
boy, what a landmark that has been in her career.
Right.
Congratulations, Dave.
I was just telling him, we were talking about asterisks. Is that how you say asterisks? On like the timeline of country music. And I said, babe, I feel like that album is one, because everybody that I talk to is like, that's my favorite album. And anyways, it's my favorite album too, but I didn't even know him at the time. And so anyways, long story short, we ended up writing together, and it was still to this day, we say one of the best songs we've ever written. I haven't put it out yet because I'm saving it for something special, but just over, almost a year, we were writing together and just getting to know each other and became really good friends. And eventually one day, all the feelings started to bubble over, and here we are.
Come on. Where were you when that happened, that moment? When the fireworks happened and you went, this is
actually
serious.
good, because we were in the car driving. We had just had dinner, and it had just started to snow in Nashville. Oh. And if you know anything about us, we're psycho about the snow. Like, we got married in the snow, we got engaged in the snow, and so our love story has really taken off. Like, he told me, he said, I need you to know that this was never my intentions with you, but I think I'm in love with you. And we had never expressed anything, and he was just very outright with it, and I kind of gripped the car, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna pass out. I was like, I think I'm in love with you too, and that was how it happened. And we've been together ever since. We really never even dated. I moved in, and
so from the time you started working together with no intentions for each other whatsoever, to the time you marry, how long?
About 6 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So an extended period there.
Yeah. We got
to earn it.
Yeah.
She said you had come down for a drink after a session. Do you find it's easier if you drink during the session sometimes?
Depends on the artist, right?
Both, depending on the artist.
If it's John Wolfe, you're definitely drinking during the session. Some Juan Lobo.
Jenny Tolman in studio this morning with her guitar, and that's always a good thing. Accompanied by her husband, Dave Brainerd, this morning. Her son, Bear, watching from outside the studio window here in the Magnolia lobby of the Gaylord Opryland Resort and Convention Center. A name came up earlier, and that's one of the things, as far as your influences, writer influences, that's always impressed me, is that people will mention Dolly Parton, but a lot of folks your age don't know who Shel Silverstein was or is. Roger Miller is another one that doesn't mention nearly enough, I think. And I know how fond you are of the ones I just mentioned, and some others that don't get the credit they deserve, probably.
Yes. Well, it's so cool to see the type of writing that they did. I feel like is so foundational for country music, because everybody thinks of country music as storytelling, and it is. But Shel, he had a whole nother level, and Roger, where Shel was even a children's book author. He had so many different things that he was doing. But if you take a look at the lyrics that he's saying, and Roger too, it's like they're so bizarre almost that it makes you hooked in and listen, and you actually internalize what the real message is. I always love to say the Roger Miller song, "You Can't Roller Skate in a Buffalo Herd," is so weird. Who would even think of that? But it's so weird that it hooks you in and you listen, and the actual message of that song at the end of the hook is, but you can be happy if you've a mind to. And so it's this whole message of all you have to do to be happy is be intentional about it. Like all these things that seem impossible, and sometimes being happy seems impossible to all of us. And so I just think that that's such a cool thing to be able to do with music. It's just like almost this like reverse psychology that these, people look at them and you think like they're just these stupid country music people, but they're actually very intelligent.
I heard a song the other day, our buddy Dallas Wayne, Charlie, and he featured it, and I hadn't heard it in forever. I'd forgotten about it. And it's a thing called Lock, Stock, and Teardrops from Roger Miller. You ever heard that?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't that a great song?
Yeah. Anything. It's
because
like,
you've heard that phrase, lock, stock, and barrel, your whole life. Mm-hmm. And just to change a word.
The way that you can turn a phrase.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something that I think is so unique in country music, too, that we do as a genre, is to take things that mean something and then give it a whole nother meaning, but make it make sense.
Yeah. The last word in Lonesome is me.
Yes. It's
and
so good.
On and on. When two worlds collide. I mean, it just...
Yes.
But yet we think of Dang Me and Can't Roller Skate and those songs, Kansas City Star, stuff like that. That's what I
sing that every time we drive through.
Yodelay, to see my car.
And to go along with the last word in Lonesome, the last word in Kroger is Roger.
That's correct.
Whoa!
So,
look at you.
Yeah. Well, that's a Roger Miller line. I can't come up
I've
with
never
that.
heard that.
Yeah. So.
I hope he got an endorsement.
Yeah.
And the same guy who wrote Marie Laveau and The Winner and things like that on Lullabies, Legends, and Lies, famously for Bobby Bear.
Yes.
And I think that's where a lot of folks on the music side got to know Shel Silverstein's work. But he wrote The Giving Tree as a book.
I know. It's crazy because when I'll talk to people, live from stage and I'll ask them if they know Shel Silverstein, they'll always say no. And then I say The Giving Tree, I say the books that he's written, and they're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
And I'm like, yes, you do know. And then it's funny too because he was also an illustrator for Playboy, so he had many facets to it.
Yeah.
My favorite line in The Winner is that he said, I left him cursing, nursing 7 broken bones, but he only broke 3 of mine, so that makes me the winner.
I love the one where he's like, he stole the wife away, but that woman, she gets uglier and meaner every day, but I got her, boys. That makes me the winner.
Well, what you gonna do live, you and Dave, this morning?
We are gonna do. It's actually an old song of mine, but it's having a little resurgence on TikTok thanks to the social media age. It's having a little viral moment right now. And it's funny because when we wrote this song, I wrote this with Dave and Aaron Ratier.
Oh, we love
Well,
Aaron.
there's another Roger Miller-esque kind of guy.
I always say that Aaron is like today's Shel Silverstein because he draws too. He does his little doodles, and he's just such a unique character. We love him. But we wrote this, and it was just a sweet love song. It wasn't about a baby. I didn't have a baby. It was way before Bear. But since having him, I posted a video of me and Bear to this song on TikTok, and it just took off. And so there's hundreds of moms now that have posted videos with their babies to this song. And so it's so cool how music can connect in all these different ways. That must be the
most fulfilling thing ever, both as a
Yes.
songwriter and as a mama.
It so is, because it, just the unintentionalness of writing this song years ago, and then it comes back and it's a full circle moment.
So where do you get the most traction on social media? Is it TikTok right now?
Instagram and TikTok are probably my two biggest things right now. Just at Jenny Tolman on Instagram.
That's
and
Tolman.
Yes, that's right. And Jenny Tolman Music on TikTok, because somebody already stole Jenny Tolman on TikTok before I got on there.
Tell us about CMA Fest coming up.
Yes, I'm going to be doing a signing at Fanfare X at the Nashville Universe booth on the Thursday. Remind me what day that is. I don't even remember what number.
June the 6th.
June the 6th.
It's a week from tomorrow.
Yes, a week from tomorrow
And
at
you're in the
3
air
p.m.
conditioning.
Yes, you'll be in air conditioning. It's at 3 p.m. So get your lunch and then come say hi to us.
Thank you for coming to see us.
Oh my gosh,
and always
thank
bringing
you
that
guys
smile
so
and your
much.
talent. And
Aw.
Dave, always a pleasure. Congratulations to the two of you. So when are we expected to make plans to attend the second birthday party?
Oh, well, you know what? His birthday's New Year's Eve, so as long as you're not going out of town.
Is he? He's a New Year's Eve
Yes,
baby?
he's
December
a New
31st?
Year's Eve baby, so the whole world celebrates his birthday.
That's right. And the tax deduction.
That's right.
Just under the wire. Yeah.
I like to keep him on his toes.
Kelly Sutton was out late and up early. Speaking of the Opry, and I'm going to share a little entertainment with you this morning on Lauren Elena and Lainey Wilson. And if you're a fan of Yellowstone, hang on. Got some Brett Young camp news a little earlier. But let's start with Lauren Elena. The Opry star is giving us a sneak peek of a brand new song. It's on her Instagram account. If you follow her, it'll be there if you haven't seen it already. And maybe you'll say, oh, I love her. I want to know more. She's featured this unreleased thing called Boots on the Ground. Watch and listen.
I slipped on my leather new cases. He tied up them army green laces. Mine were made for going out all night. His were made for running straight into the fight. I can take a shot 'cause he dodged a bullet. I can raise hell 'cause he walked right through it. Some drinks might be, but freedom ain't free, no doubt. Wouldn't have my boots on a bar stool without them boots on the ground.
You do it, girl. That's Lauren Elena. She'll be back at the Opry 2 shows, and it's soon because CMA Fest is next week. She's here on Tuesday, the 4th. It's a 2-show night. Carrie Underwood, Russell Dickerson, Kip Moore highlighting Tuesday shows. Tickets available now, Opry.com. And I haven't looked, but Charlie follows that sort of thing more closely than I do, and would probably...
I'm going to follow it very closely right now and see.
And double check, but if not, first show is probably sparse, if any are available. So you want to think about the second. But we got shows all week long because, again, it's CMA Fest. And Lainey Wilson, let's talk about more Opry stars. A couple of days away from the start of her Country's Cool Again tour. And she says one of her favorite things, and I can only imagine, is an artist to look out there and you see a lot of mini-me's. Yeah, little girls dressed up like Lainey.
I noticed that all the girls have dressed up like me. I'm talking about from the top of their head to the tip of their toes. They are decked out, looking like some bell-bottom country, with the flat brims, with the cowboy hats, with the feathers in their hats, rhinestones and fringe, and their bell-bottoms. The bigger, the better. It's awesome. It's like everybody gets to play dress up for the night.
So Charlie Mattos will be sporting, when you are a part of her induction on Friday of next week, bell bottoms.
I could pull off the hat.
And fringe.
I think I could do that. I could do the
rhinestones.
fringe. Yeah, Elvis had fringe. And I could do the hat. Boy, the bell bottoms will be tough.
But they got to be skin tight.
But that's
Can't
the
be
problem.
just any bell bottoms.
Yeah, well, I got suit pants that are that, but not intentional.
Lainey's tour, 2 sold-out shows at Ascend Amphitheater. That's Nashville, and that's Friday and Saturday. And, of course, Friday, officially inducted as the newest member of the Grand Ole Opry on Friday the 7th. What else to tell you about? Oh, Darius Rucker. Darius is officially an author now, so add that to his resume. His memoir, Life's Too Short, is officially out, and he was on NBC's Today Show and said, you know what, it was just finally the right time to tell some very personal stories.
I always said if I ever wrote a memoir, I was going to be honest. I was going to tell the real story, and my one rule was I wasn't going to write it until my kids were adults, because I didn't want them to have to go to school the next day and you read your dad's book. So I waited for them to become adults, and it seemed like it was time. Harper came to me and they talked a good game, and I decided to do it.
Darius Rucker, Grand Ole Opry star, hits the road with the Hootie and the Blowfish tour tomorrow night. They'll be in Dallas. Boy, Dallas got it. Did you hear hurricane force thunderstorms yesterday?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, in the Metroplex. Play a historic Fenway Park, Charlie, up in your old neighborhood.
I know, very excited.
They'll be here in Nashville in late July. Collective Soul and Edwin McCain will be opening for Hootie.
Fenway is such a quirky layout, but it makes for a very good concert. I saw Billy Joel at Fenway, and it was such a better stadium experience than I was anticipating it being. So, so I'm sure Hootie will do a great there.
Mr. Joel, I had a whole lot more fun than I thought I was going to.
See, that's how I would say it if I ever met him. And I would just stick my foot in my mouth. I have a habit of doing that when I meet people. Yeah.
Mel Tillis had an album called Mel Tillis Live at Birmingham Municipal Auditorium. And somewhere toward the beginning of the album, he says, oh, it's great to be in Birmingham. We are having a good time. We're having a whole lot more fun than we thought we would. I've always remembered it. Hey, Brett Young, speaking of having fun, Fall Tour 2024, 16 dates, Verona, New York on September the 6th. Let's see, that's where it starts. And then New Orleans, Austin, New York, Atlanta, and it concludes in Durham, North Carolina, October 26th. You can go to his website. It's brettyoungmusic.com website. Find out more. Tickets are on sale this Friday morning at 10 o'clock local time. Pre-sale at 10 o'clock this morning. And again, this is for the fall tour for Brett Young. What else to tell you about? Oh, have you heard, as it relates to, if you follow Yellowstone, names being tossed about, Matthew McConaughey, Michelle Pfeiffer. Things are wrapping up. If you follow the show, you know that. There's also news that Kelly Riley, Cole Hauser, and Luke Grimes, who respectively play fan favorites Beth Dutton, her husband Rip, and her brother Casey, will be back in the saddle for the follow-up to Yellowstone.
Oh, wow.
As it goes away.
Every time I see Kevin Costner, Renee got hooked on Yellowstone and all of its incarnations, prequels and such. And every time I see Kevin Costner, I just think he could so play George Strait if they ever did a biopic on George Strait.
Good call.
Because he is so George
Good
Strait
call.
in that role. It's great. So
I award you the title of casting director for that movie.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Yes.
You're hired. What is your charge?
I'd like to play the part of Dean Dillon and just get royalties for one day.
And by the way, Tyler Sheridan is already at work on a new Paramount Western project called Horizon, an American Saga. And speaking of American sagas, Luke Bryan's saga continues. He's got another hit single, new thing called Love You, Miss You, Mean It. And he says, this is quintessential Luke Bryan is what this is.
I'm not thinking about this when I'm ingesting the song. I'm just loving it for what it is, and then we go record it, and then everybody's like, oh, my God, this kind of sounds like vintage throwback Luke stuff. And I'm like, well, I don't realize that, but then it kind of does. I think that the title, Love You, Miss You, Mean It, is so identifiable. And then the story with people. I mean, how many people have had the high school sweetheart that they broke up with and wound up living the story of getting back together?
Luke Bryan. Ingesting Luke Bryan on Coffee, Country, and Cody.
It's Coffee, Country, and Cody.
So 35 years ago, maybe, had this idea while I was doing mornings at KKYX in San Antonio. I was like, man, you know what I want to do? I want to go to Nashville one day and be Ralph Emery. That's what I want to do. So I need to work on my craft. I need to have people in the studio and interview them, have them play and sing live and that sort of thing. And I just met this guy at the George West Story Fest in George West, Texas. Charlie, you've traveled a lot. You ever been to George West, Texas?
I have not been to George West.
See there? No, you haven't been everywhere, man.
No.
All across the land, man.
I've been to Nacogdoches. I mean, that's got to be worth something, right? I think I get.
Yeah, it was that was where the Marx Brothers found their improvisation.
See, there we go.
In 1915.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
they did everything. They did everything by script, and they lost their script, and they started improv, and that from then on they were improv.
wow.
Yeah.
So I had met this guy who knew things like that at the George West Story Fest in George West, Texas, named Robert Earl King and his wife Kathleen. And I said, I need to have him on. He'd be perfect. And as I recall, you were the first guy. Later, Aaron Barker,
sure.
Nashville Songwriter Hall of Famer.
I love Aaron.
Michael Johnson, who would come by when he was in town and play and sing and do the very thing that I ultimately got to Nashville and had the opportunity to do.
That's
every day.
great. Yeah.
So.
But you were probably weren't as snarky as Ralph Emery was. You know? he'll undermine you, man.
Oh yeah, he will. Yeah. And speaking of you and Kathleen coming to town, you got married and came to town right away, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
How long did you stay?
We stayed for 2 years. Yeah, for 2 years. So we were here from 85 to 87.
And it just wasn't for you?
That was when I forgot what they call it. What do they call that group of Nancy and Lyle and Steve and all those guys? I don't know. The incandescent, whatever it was. Anyway, they were blowing up, and like that was, so I would go to these things, and everybody just go, yeah, who are you? I said, I'm pretty loud. Oh, great, oh, cool, I see you, and I felt like I was, whatever, redhead stepchild. So yeah. So I and I worked jobs all the time. Couldn't get into a door if we made a paper. I mean, it just like I was just struggling, and finally woke up one morning. It was in the wintertime, and it was 2 degrees, and I remember never seeing 2 degrees on a
thermometer.
And I looked at Kathleen. And I said, maybe we could stay in the summer. And then I thought, oh, God, it's about 900 degrees and humid. And I said, you ready to go? And she goes, I'm already packed.
And where did you go first?
We went to Bandera.
Okay.
Yeah,
went to the hill country.
Yeah, we lived in Bandera for 9 years. Yeah. So, and then we lived in Medina, which is only about 15 miles up the road. And then the last part we've lived in Kerrville. So we've lived in Kerrville for almost 20 years.
And he passes my old hometown of Comfort.
Comfort.
When you leave San Antonio to go to Kerrville,
Yeah,
you
that's
have to go to
exactly
Comfort.
right.
You have to go to Welfare,
Yeah.
and then you have to go to Comfort.
Yeah, there you go.
And then you get to Kerrville.
And what's the T-shirt they sell?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Waring, Texas, somewhere on a back road, too close to Welfare for comfort.
Yeah.
All in Kendall County, Texas. You can look it up. I'm not making any of the story up.
That's exactly
this morning.
right. Yeah.
And Houston was home for you originally, right?
Originally, yes,
Okay.
it was, yeah.
And was the music scene a part of your growing up?
Yeah,
early
no,
on?
I actually learned how to play the guitar when I went to A&M, because I was like not as good a student as I thought I was. So I started.
That's where
playing
you and
guitar.
Lyle Lovett famously roomed
That's
together, right?
Yeah, right. Well, yeah. So, he actually lived down the street. I don't want to get that straight. Somehow it got off, but he lived right about 4 houses down. So
Okay.
we got to be friends, and we had that porch out there, and he'd ride his bicycle by every day. So we had like a crowd of people. It was like it'd be like a frat boy with with khakis and a guitar. That was it. Yeah, so that's what we were doing.
It was on Church Street.
Yeah, Church Street, 302 Church Street. Yes. yeah. But we had people all the time because we were only one block off the campus, so they parked over there, and there were people, playing guitar and fiddle, and they'd come up and say, "Yeah, can we play?" So it was just a circus of people coming through all the time. I don't know how much studying we got. We all ended up graduating somehow, but and Lyle and I graduated on the same day. Because he's loving it, I'm keen, So we sat next to each other.
Oh,
and
wow.
the whole thing. So it was pretty tight. But the way I got to know Lyle is all those ne'er-do-wells that I lived with, they leave in the summer, and I'd continue to go to summer school, and so did he. So that's how we really bonded. Was just that I ended up just kind of the two of us hanging out a lot,
And what was that great song? This old porch.
This old porch.
This old porch.
Yeah, this old porch.
Which is just an anthology of Texas history
It
that you
gets
guys
a lot,
wrote on that porch of that house. Yeah.
They have a statue coming to A&M of Lyle and I sitting on a porch. And,
No way.
yeah, they're supposed to install it. It's been going on for a long time, but it's supposed to install it at the end of 24 sometime. So
What this audience needs to know, you don't get a statue at A&M unless you've won a lot of football games.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Actually, I'm glad that they're doing it because they're kind of giving a nod to, even some kind of the arts. There's
Sure.
always an engineering school. And actually, they're building an arts part school. And their publishing business has usurped University of Texas because people like their publishing and how they deal with. So a lot of people put out books through A&M Publishing today. So
And the Bush Library.
yeah,
is
the
there.
Bush Library, and they're also building. They're taking up about a third of Fort Worth and building the law school there, which everybody in Fort Worth is going, yay, yay, and then behind the scenes they're going, those sons of bitches, man, they're gonna take over the whole place, and they are. I mean, they took out this entire southeast part of downtown, just ripped it out, and it's going to say Texas A&M. It's going to say Fort Worth, brought to you by Texas A&M.
And Pat Green has to drive by it every day.
Right, exactly.
Robert Earl Keane is here. 2 new singles, and we're going to feature Let's Valet here in just a minute, which has a great backstory. I think you said a Nashville red carpet event. But this Saturday, Knoxville, Tennessee Theater, and then Sunday at the Ryman Auditorium. You're going to be there. But, Charlie, you were just with Robert Earl at the Opry.
About 6 weeks ago, John R. Miller made his Grand Ole Opry debut, and Robert Earl Keane was there to introduce him for the very first time in that historic circle.
Yeah.
It was a cool night.
I thought
Yeah.
I thought it was really beautiful. Yeah, I was really happy to be part of it. Yeah.
Well, you got to play the part of Mr. Acuff, your wife Kathleen's old friend.
I know. Yeah, she moved out to Opryland when they took over part of Hatch Show Print, and he would come in his golf cart and bring her a cup of coffee, and so he did this over and over. She didn't know. Kathleen doesn't really know famous people, shouldn't care, right? So she got to be there. And then all of a sudden her boss comes out one day and said, "What are you talking to that guy for?" She says, "He's a friend of mine, and he brings me coffee every day." She says, "Do you know who that is?" He goes, "I don't care. He's just always nice to me. We have a lot of chats." And he goes, "Well, that's Roy Acuff. You can't talk to him anymore." She says, "You can't tell me who I can talk to."
We're dating, if you must know. All right. So that's ahead for you. And before we play Let's Valet, let's get this backstory on how people always throw song ideas.
Yeah,
to you.
so we were doing the BMI Writers Night and right before the CMA Awards and things like that. So I had this really great agent that named Taylor, and she promised to take me around because I didn't know what I was doing. We were going to red carpet things, and you get kind of pushed around, and you go here and go talk to this person. So she's doing it really, really great. We get downtown, it's just packed with people, and there's no parking at all. And I said, Taylor, what are we going to do now? She said, let's valet. And I said, a lot of people have told me I should write a song about something, and I never do, but I want to tell you, that is a song title. and I'm writing it. So I wrote that song, and I gave her credit because she had the title,
Oh,
and
wow.
then I enlisted my friend Dean Dillon to come in and write a verse because he's always really colorful and cool, So we got this song going. It's kind of a little swing song, Actually, I think of it more like a Great Gatsby song.
More Coffee, Country, and Cody is on WSM.
And your good fortune, more with Robert Earl King. Western Chillin' in the studio with us this morning on his way to Knoxville, Saturday, Tennessee Theater, Sunday, Ryman Auditorium. I thought you had stopped touring, Mr. Keene.
Well, I had, but...
Pull up to the microphone there with your guitar.
Right, yeah. Well, I had stopped touring, and that was the plan, but... once I got off, I was a little bit more beat up than I expected, and the other things that I wanted to do were just turned into ether, and I couldn't do them. So I sat around and got to feeling a little bit better and thought, well, I know how to do one thing. So, so here I am. But I am not touring on a regular basis like I was anyway. I'm playing some selected dates, like you said, the Tennessee Theater in Knoxville and the Ryman, and some other stuff that I'm doing a lot of fundraisers and cameos and stuff these days, because I like to. Kind of be involved in some of that.
Yeah, when you leave the Ryman June 3rd, Charlotte, North Carolina, I got a neighborhood theater and a Charleston Music Hall gig in North Carolina, South Carolina, back-to-back. Durham, Winston-Salem, Rocky Mount, Virginia is all ahead in the next couple of weeks.
Could you talk about the Western Chill project? Because there's one thing releasing an album, but man, this box set, everything involved, it's the coolest combination of stuff.
Well, thank you, Charlie. I really appreciate that. So this started way back in 20, and when COVID hit, we kept everybody on salary and had insurance and stuff, and so after a couple of months and nobody was really sick, I started thinking, well, we could just rehearse. So we started rehearsing. We went out to our place in Medina, and I have this place called the Snake Barn Movie Ranch Studio. So I have video equipment, and we went out there, and we rehearsed and got some stuff going, and then all of a sudden I had this lightning moment where I wrote this song Western Chill, and then that same night I wrote 4 other songs. And so when the next time they came back, they said, okay, what are we doing? I said, we're going to do something completely different. We're going to do something under this umbrella of Western Chill. I want all you guys to bring songs, and we're all going to do this together. And they said, oh, you mean we bring our songs and you sing them? And I said, no. You bring your songs and you sing them, and we work them up the way that you like them, and we put them together and hope that it sticks. The real magic of it was it really did stick. They brought songs that just really fit this whole Western Chill vibe. And if you listen to the record back to front or front to back, it goes. It's one of those ones you don't really need to pick up the needle because it's really, all the songs are good.
It's that good.
Solid, And so it all has kind of this, it has kind of a Western swing thing, but it's not real hunky-dory kind of thing. It's just real easy. And it is chill. I mean, there's one song that's sort of upbeat. It's not even that much. It's just it's all cool, and it's full of color and heartbreak and a lot of some drama. And I actually, at the end of it, even though I did all those things like the graphic novel and the songbook and the LP, I started writing a musical for it because it fit so well. There was a real storyline going through this.
Nice.
So I'm working on that. I don't know if I'll ever get that far, but I did work on it. Yeah.
RobertEarlKeen.com on the web to find out more about that. And we're going to close with a song from that project called Waves, and I want you to set that up here in a minute. We heard Let's Valet a little earlier, but we're going deep into catalog. A request that I made a little bit earlier for This Old Porch, back to the Bryan College Station days.
Yeah, so this is you want me to set it up now, Bill?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a song that I wrote with Lyle Lovett, and I'd written some of the verses, and we were friends, so he'd come by the porch. He lived about 2 or 3 houses down, and he'd ride his bicycle by there. We'd all sit there on the porch and play all kinds of stuff, primarily old country and bluegrass, and so I said, hey, I wrote this song. So he came back about a week later and said, I hope you don't mind, but I added some words to the song. I said, it needs all the help it can get.
Bravo! Bravo, Robert Earl Keane in studio this morning. Just a sweating and a panting, that old Hereford bull. That's the line, because his work is never done. Are we closing with Waves still?
Yes, sir.
What
We're
timing?
closing
Okay.
Waves. Yep.
Yeah.
So,
I know you wanted to brag on a member of the band and
I want to
closing
brag
with
on
that.
all the band, but we ended up doing Western Chill. This is the project we're doing. We did, so we're launching it digitally on the 7th of June. So, and we put out this as a single because this is one of my favorite songs on Western Chill. It's the guitar player's song called Waves. And
what's his name?
His name is Brian Bacon.
Okay.
There's a nice old German name for you, right?
Oh, yeah.
His family's from Weimar, you know. Oh yeah, Wassergezeiten. So he does it. It's a beautiful song. It's kind of a heartbreak song. And when he brought this in, I was just like, you wrote that song? and he did, and it's fantastic. So anyway, it's a band inclusive project. Everybody brought songs to the table. We all put them all under this one umbrella, Western Chill. So it's really cool.
That's Robert Earl Keane, robertearlkeane.com, and the Tennessee Theater, Knoxville, tomorrow. On the 1st, on the June the 1st, and then on June 2nd,
Ryman
as we get into
Auditorium?
the weekend, he will be at the Ryman Auditorium at the Mother Church, the Union Gospel Tabernacle.
Yeah.
In its original form, back to 1885, so 130 plus years. And the Mother Church, the old lady is still getting it done there.
I know. You know, we worked at Kathleen, my wife, and I ran Hatch Show Print when it was on 4th Street. So it was right across from the Opry, and that was back before they did music. So I used to go there at lunch and pay the $2 to go in the museum part, which is kind of musty and everything. And after a few weeks of going there, they just waved me in, and I just sit there in the Ryman, really most of the time by myself, and just take in the vibe. It was magic. I don't want to be cliche, but it was magical.
Robert Earl Keane Jr. once had an office at the Ryman. Add that to the list of trivia. Hey, I got to share this before we go. I am holding in my hand, if you're of a certain age, you will recognize the 8-track format for playback.
Yes, brilliant audio quality.
And
I'm sorry. Brilliant audio quality.
Tim Larson has interviewed me for a podcast on an upcoming episode of Storytellers Studio. And he brought me a few little goodies, like this little pamphlet, this little booklet of songs, songs, and then pictures. But how old do you think Roy Acuff was when that picture was taken?
Not 30 for sure, right?
Wow.
Mid-20s.
He brought me that, and I just wanted to say thanks, and I look forward to the finished product, and I'll let you know where you can link to that podcast later. But this is a twin pack. So we got 4 tracks on here, starting in 1926 to 1974. Stars of the Grand Ole Opry on 8-track. I'm pumped. I'm mentioning some of the stars of the Grand Ole Opry that you will hear on my 8-track cartridge here. Twin pack 8-track cartridge. I hate to brag. Uncle Dave Macon, that's what you lead on. This is the first thing you hear.
Okay.
You hear Railroading and Gambling, Pee Wee King, Bill Monroe, Eddie Arnold, Lonzo and Oscar, Lester Flatt, and Earl Scruggs. That's on track 1. This is track 1.
Oh, man. All right.
I'm sitting on a gold mine of music over here,
I
Truman.
think you are.
You're
yeah.
jealous, aren't you?
Oh, well, yeah.
The Fiat got an 8-track?
No. Doesn't have that technology, unfortunately. No.
So what are we doing tomorrow? Let me look at my notes here. Pick of the week. I want to brag on that. Jamie Johnson, 21 Guns, brand new song I'm going to feature. Pick of the week, tomorrow's show. All right?